Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Rahmat-i-Alam by SYED Sulaiman Nadvi. Muhammad, peace be upon him, mercy for the universe. Translated by A.Rauf Luther. Chapter 25. Elimination of Jewish Danger. The Jews of Medina were the third greater danger for Islam because they were rich and commanded great influence in that region. They were traders and businessmen and excelled in war tactics much better than the Arabs. They had their habitation from Hijaz to Syria. They were influential leaders in the whole of Arabia. They considered themselves above all the dwellers living in that area on account of religious matters, traditions, customs, and rites, and the knowledge that they possessed. They were very powerful and strong in Medina and other cities and towns due their wealth, unity, strength, and commerce. Every Arab in one way or the other was related to them because of running under their deed. The Aus and Khazraj farmers and their laborers, whatever harvest they had from their crops was usurped by these Jews. Almost all the property of the Arabs was mortgaged with them, so the Arabs could not get the fruit of their labor. The Quraynqa was a Jewish tribe which dealt in gold and silver. It lived near Medina. Another Jewish tribe, Banu Nazir, and the third Bani Qurayza had also spread their business throughout Arabia. The whole Arab population was groaning under their deed. As they were the only masters of wealth and property, they used to advance painful and cruel conditions for extracting the Arabian produce on their loans at high rates of interest. Not only the land and houses were mortgaged with them, but also women and children of the Arabs were mortgaged. When the headquarters of the Muslims moved from Makkah to Medina, the Jews were first pleased to welcome them in Medina because the Prophet spoke the same religion which had been mentioned in their sacred books and that authenticated the earlier revealed books. The Jews hoped that the new movement would enhance their prestige and power. So they stepped forward to have peace pacts with Muslims and that they would stand shoulder to shoulder with the Muslims in case of any eventuality or invasion from abroad. They had further thought that the new movement would be absorbed in them and the supremacy of the Jews would prevail everywhere and they would enjoy their leadership. The Jews came to know within 1 year after the arrival of the Prophet in Medina that the new movement was going to be a permanent force, and if that power was not crushed in its early period, their own supremacy and commerce would be badly affected. Instead of appreciating the truth of the religion of Islam, the Jews tried to keep themselves away from the Muslims and raise objections on the very religion. There was no other course left for them except to embrace this religion of Islam, or if they wished to remain therein, turn into hypocrites. With Muslims, they had favorable conversation, and when they had meeting with the infidels, they talked against Islam and the Muslims. They endeavored to make the people hate and abhor Islam, but they could not succeed in their vain and vile attempt to oppose the teachings of Islam. The people who craved for peace and justice to prevail embraced Islam, and some of them offered their whole wealth for the service of Islam. Such was the state of affairs in Medina and its suburbs. As the signs of war began to appear between the Quraysh and the Muslims of Medina, the Jews had the chance to have some dialogues with the Meccans, which resulted in the Badr campaign. The Muslims' victory in Badr war was a signal of great danger for the very existence of the Jews, who began to prepare themselves for any eventuality. When the Muslims saw the Jews making extensive preparations for war, the Muslims reminded them of the peace treaty which both the parties had signed for helping each other in case of any disturbance and raid from outside. But the Jews did not accept it. Instead, they threatened the Muslims of dire consequences and that the Jews would meet the same fate as that of the Quraysh. The Jews said, "Don't take us as Quraysh. They are not the people of war. We are in possession of all kinds of war weapons. We dwell in forts. It is not easy for you to be our rivals. We are not a soft morsel to be consumed by the Muslims." The Jews were fully aware of the Prophet's strength in view of the two tribes of Aus and Khazraj. Now the Jews planned to have the friendship with these tribes and used to sit with them and try to take them to their own side against the Muslims. And also they endeavored to put a wedge between the two tribes that they may annihilate each other and Jews may derive benefit out of their extinction. The planning was quite evident to the Muslims and the tribes were not aware of it. So there came a stage when both the tribes were on the verge of fighting against each other that the Prophet came to know of it and made them understand the nefarious intrigue of Jews and conflict was peacefully averted by the intervention of the Holy Prophet of Islam. The hypocrites of Medina too had their connection with the Quraysh and the Jews. Their chief Abdullah bin Ubay was always in touch with Banu Nazir and Bani Quraynqa, who were renowned for their bravery and courage. But the Badr war had made them realize that the strength of Islam could never be curbed and overwhelmed. So they intended to gather more strength to eliminate Islam and Muslims for their own supremacy. They tore the pact to pieces and began to create mischief to harm the Muslims. If you like the video, then share and subscribe the channel. Thank you. Jazakumullahu khairan kathira.